Representative Howard, welcome back to the program. Outside of a medical emergency, is there any way for a woman in Texas to get an abortion now?
The real answer to that is no. That's the intention of the previous pieces of legislation, as well as the one we're talking about now that just passed. Um, the fact is that abortion is still legal health care in other states, and women have had the ability to travel, if they had the means, to travel out of state to get a legal abortion. But with the legislation that we just passed, that is becoming more unattainable at this point because we're going after the manufacturers and the distributors and the providers with what I would consider to be frivolous lawsuits, and it will definitely have a chilling effect on the ability to get the medications that are needed.
I want to ask you about that. Clinics are now closed. Access to abortion pills likely going to end here with HB7. What kind of impacts do you expect on Texas women, especially in a state with this already high maternal mortality rate?
And a good point you're making there. It's much more risky to be pregnant than it is to have an abortion. Abortion is very safe right now. When I came of age before Roe v. Wade, that's back in the coat hanger days
Mm.
when women had to resort to very unsafe, unhealthy methods of abortion and oftentimes died. Right now, it is so safe and effective that we're not seeing those kinds of deaths. And the concern we have now is without access to that safe medication, that women will resort to more unsafe methods because women have always sought abortions and always will, regardless of the law. So there's a lot of concern about how this could increase the deaths of women. Um, Certainly, it will increase the likelihood that we won't have the medications we need, even for pregnancy complications when these medications are used, because the manufacturers and distributors of these medications are going to be threatened with lawsuits constantly, even for an intent. Whether they actually provide an abortion for an elective abortion or not, they can still be sued.
What's going to happen to, let's say, someone who doesn't have means, maybe lives in the Rio Grande Valley, maybe lives, outside Dallas, Fort Worth, or outside Austin? What happens to those women if they can't go out of state to get an abortion and there's maybe a need for it?
And when you say need, I would define that as being a need that's determined by the woman and her healthcare provider, which may or may not be a so-called elective abortion. It may be
Sure.
because there are complications where this is needed as well. But the fact is that a woman who doesn't have the means and the resources is going to have even more challenges accessing abortion health care, meaning that she will either take that pregnancy to term and have whatever the consequences of that are.
Mm.
This is not to belittle in any way the beauty of childbirth and having children, and people choose to do that. But when you have no options, when you have no autonomy over your own body, when you have no agency over your own destiny, your own educational and employment opportunities, your own choices of life, that quite frankly, sperm donors, the other half of the population, have always had and will continue to have. It means that that person is no longer in control of her own life.
Hospitals and doctors, though, are still protected by this legislation, according to what I read, that, if there's a medical emergency, if a woman's life is in danger, then she could still get access to an abortion. Is that right?
Yes, and we had to fight for that, quite frankly. The original bill uh, did not provide that protection. We fought so hard on a bipartisan basis during the regular session to pass Senate Bill 31, the Life of the Mother Act, to correct the overreach that had occurred before with abortion regulations. So yes, that did get put in there, but you can only do so much if you don't have the tools to do it. And if you do not have the medications available, because the manufacturers are now not going to be able to send those medications here, regardless of what the law says that they can for those purposes, this law is asking manufacturers to come up with policies that show that they will solely provide this medication for these medical exceptions. How in the world is that going to happen? It's not. It's going to stifle the production and the distribution of the medications.
we all know what kind of happens next here. This automatically goes underground. A black market is created,
Yes,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. And again, we're talking about something that is a safe medical tool that the
FDA approved.
absolutely, absolutely. It is one of the safest medications available, and absolutely is available without even having to see a doctor in person. That's how safe it is. Um, so the chilling effect again on all kinds of things let me just say again, the way this is written, anybody anywhere in the entire world can bring a lawsuit
Yeah.
against someone who is providing a medication abortion pill to someone and get $100,000 bypassing the court system. This is a private cause of action again, using the key tam method this time, which is what usually is done for Medicaid fraud on behalf of the state. Well, the state's not a partner in this case. The state's giving away its rights to anybody, anywhere to sue for up to $100,000 or beyond, actually. And all they have to prove is intent. This person does not even have to have taken an abortion pill or provided it
Right.
actually to a person. It's intent.
But the only people who get 100,000 are those directly related to that mother there,
Well,
right?
the directly related to the fetus, yes, if somehow,
Yeah,
uh, grandparent, uncle, aunt, whatever, they would
sure.
get the full 100,000.
And
Not
everyone
related.
else is the 10,000, right? That's their limit. Is that
Yes,
right?
what this appears to be could be an entrapment scheme as well, is you can sue the $100,000 that was awarded, you're not related, you get $10,000, and then you get to pick the nonprofit of your choice to contribute the other $90,000 to, which means if you were a Right to Life supporter,
Yeah.
you could order a pill with no intention to take it, sue that provider, get 100,000, keep 10,000, and give 90,000 to a Right to Life group. I mean, that is
Hmm.
a possibility.
Let me ask you a tad more about that. Texas again letting private citizens sue to enforce this. There's no state criminal penalty involved here. Because of that, once again, legally, do you see any way to stop HB7 in the courts?
It I'm not a lawyer, but the way that I understand this is that this scheme, the intention here is to not only prevent Texas women from accessing medication abortions, but by virtue of the chilling effect on providers throughout the country and throughout the world, actually, even overseas, is it will prevent medications from being sent to other parts of the state, prevent providers from taking Texas women and providing to them because then they could be sued. In
Yeah.
other words, the intention is to actually shut down the providers so that no one in this country, even if it's legal in their state, can access the medication. And
So is there legal cause then? I mean, if let's say I live in Missouri or I live in New York City, I mean, I wouldn't be subject to Texas laws.
well, that's true. And the way that you're getting around this, although of course, the Attorney General has sued a New York doctor. That's the Shield laws are trying to protect them.
Right.
Way this is trying to get around that is to say we're going to bring these private causes of action against the providers and distributors, and by virtue of all those potential lawsuits, keep you from doing what you've been doing. So it's not going through Congress, it's not passing laws, it's actually bypassing all of that system and shutting the providers and the distributors down through frivolous lawsuits.
People related to these, mothers and unborn fetuses are the ones who could collect the most money, and then anyone else would collect a smaller portion of that. But do you expect that we're going to see families turning on each other?
Well, and that is a sad statement, but not out of the realm of possibility when something like this is set up. I mean, especially if you have a family that may not even be getting along.
Yeah.
There is all you have to have is evidence of intention. And you can set that up yourself, actually. You can actually order the medication saying that it was intended for someone else, not even take it. The person doesn't even have to take it. The intent is all that's necessary for that lawsuit to go forward. So yes, I think that is a possibility.
And to make sure I'm clear, is there anyone talking about any type of legal challenges to this?
Oh, yeah, there definitely will be, but, again, not being a lawyer, I can't really delve
Sure.
into that exactly, but the fact is the way that this has been set up, it avoids all kinds of opportunities to try to deal with this in the court system.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the scheme. And
Yeah.
so, absolutely it'll be challenged, but I don't know how that's gonna look.
Yeah. Republicans use that in the Heartbeat Act. Is that what it was also? Is the
Yes.
other time they use that?
Yeah, and
Uh,
we saw what happened then, let me just say too,
yeah.
that women died as a result of that because of the fear and confusion about it. And that's what we tried to correct in the regular session with Senate Bill 31, the Life of the Mother Act, to allow physicians to practice medicine without fear of being sued. This just creates more gray area that could end up resulting in more confusion again, regardless of the fact that doctors and hospitals are protected. It doesn't mean that there's still not a lot of confusion and
Sure.
gray area here. And
And
so there's concern about women dying.
yeah, well, that's what I was kind of getting to in a previous question. At the end of the day, if you have a woman in Texas who can't afford to go anywhere else for treatment, she can't order this mail order abortion pill. What happens to her and probably thousands of others like her?
Well, part of the problem we have in this state is about half of the counties in our state are maternal health care deserts. There aren't providers, there's not access. And those women who find themselves pregnant don't often get the pregnancy care that they need. We have those high rates of maternal deaths. We have higher rates of infant mortality. Um, those are the consequences of not being able to access care in general. And then when you add on top of it, not being able to control if and when you're going to be pregnant, to be able to make those determinations in a healthy way, a safe way, you're going to see more deaths related to that as well. So, I mean, there's no question that we're going to see more women dying, especially those that don't have access to care.
Republicans, every session, even before the Supreme Court overturned it, they were looking at ways to limit abortion. Do you think? I mean, what else does the GOP do now after this? Do you think there's something else the GOP does as far as uh,
Good question. I'm sure they'll come up with something, but I've been here for almost 20 years, and really for more than half of that time, it's been session after session, chipping away and chipping away and chipping away at abortion access. So it is kind of hard to figure out what's the next place
mm,
to go. And my concern is that it'll have to do with making more policy decisions that impact access to contraception, uh, IVF and fertility treatments. Uh, there's more that could be done, unfortunately, and I'm sure that they will come up with something.
mm. Representative, good to see you. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.